And we're on our last page for 1.5 here, top of page 3. And we're just going to take the skills now that we're building and how to add real numbers, adding positives and negative numbers together, including fractions, decimal, and all that. That's why they call them the reals, because it includes everything possible. And we're going to then also move on to translating. We are headed to some word problems that we'll need to solve in chapter 2, and then additional problem solving and word problems in chapter 3. So really take the time to establish some good translation skills in this first chapter. And if you're struggling at all with these beginning translations, please come see me or get some outside help right away, because when we hit chapter 2, the word problems as we go through there near the end of the chapter, and then the bulk of chapter 3 is word problems, you're going to want to have these basic skills really solid, these basic translating skills. Okay, but let's start with the comparing, either finding out if we've got a less than or greater than situation. So we want to make a true statement here, and number 66, we have this entire piece on the left. We're comparing everything here on the left to everything here on the right. So it's right in here that we want to decide less than or greater than. So at the left here, it's almost like a word problem when they get this big. You kind of need to read it through. Don't just go, oh, I'm just going to dive right in. Kind of get a big picture, what it is we're trying to do. We're comparing left side to right side, and then look at kind of what is jumping out as the key points, the beginning parts here. So we've got a bracket, which means we've just got kind of layers of grouping symbols here. And then inside we see parentheses for -8 plus parentheses -6. So once again, these are just look at me parentheses, okay? Up here, just look at me. It's a little Three Amigos reference for those of you movie buffs out there. One of my faves. So we're just highlighting the fact that we've got two negatives being added together. So then they use the brackets to say, hey, deal with this first, and then you can add the positive 10. Over here, same thing. The parentheses are saying, look at me, and the brackets are saying, deal with this addition inside here first, then you can deal with the -8 being added to that. So when we do, we see that we've got two negatives being added together. We've got same signs, negative plus negative, which means that we're going to be adding these two numbers together. 8 plus 6 gives you 14. And then we keep the sign of the bigger number, which in this case is just the same because they're both negative. But it allows you an easy way to memorize this, okay? So you get a -14. Now you could continue to keep it in brackets if you want, but the brackets have done their job. They focused you in to do this piece first, the negative plus the negative. So we can go ahead now and just bring down the +10. And we're keeping that on the left side because we're going to compare over here. Let's go ahead and finish this off though. Now I have a negative plus a positive. It was just +10. We'll go ahead and remind ourselves that means plus positive 10. So the signs are different here now. So we're going to subtract. So I ran out of room here. 14 minus 10 is 4, and the bigger sign is attached, or the bigger number has a negative sign attached to it, so this becomes -4. So I'm really comparing this left side here is equal to a -4. So now let's see what the right side comes out to be here. According to the what's shown to us, the brackets tell us, hey, look inside here first. The parentheses are saying, hey, I'm a negative, notice me, notice me. So we've got different signs as we're adding here. We've got a positive plus a negative. So different signs. We've got a positive. I'll try to give myself more room this time. Positive plus a negative. So that means we're going to subtract. So 9 minus 2 is going to be 7, and then we keep the bigger sign, and the bigger number is 9. The sign attached to that is a positive, so this answer is +7. So I've got a +7. I bring down the -8 plus that +7, and then I do one more addition of positives and negatives here. Now I have different signs again. We've got a negative and a positive. So different, so I subtract. 8 minus 7 is 1. Attach the sign of the bigger number. This becomes a -1. So I've got -4 on the left side here, -1 on the right side. If you're still kind of getting used to what's bigger, what's less than, or if you're tempted to see the 4 and go, oh, that's greater than -1. No, think bank accounts. -4 is much worse than having -1 in your bank account. Think number lines here, -1, 2, 3, 4. -4 would be here, -1 would be here. Left is less. Okay, so the number that's further left is less than. So -4 is less than, -1 is what you get. All right, moving on to the translating. Again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the video. We're building our translating skills. Right now we're just translating to expressions, no equal sign. So that means there's no solving that we need to do. We're just translating. However, because of what we're learning right now about simplifying, they're also asking us if it's available, if we need to, if there's like terms or parentheses involved where we have to distribute, then go ahead and simplify. Now, I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. When you get to the word problems in a section, pause for a moment and remind yourself, what section am I in? Okay, I'm in 1.5, and the focus of this section has been to add positive and negative numbers together. And realize that what you're going to be doing, probably translating, will involve adding and positive and negative numbers. Realize that that's probably going to be, more than likely, it's going to be part of that translation, okay? And that gives you a great way to start practicing and keep that panic level down to a minimum. The other thing, of course, is we read it out loud, we take a nice deep cleansing breath, we read it again and start picking out key pieces of information and kind of build the translation step by step. If you struggle with these, don't just dive in and try to translate it all in one step. Take it piece by piece, okay? Really have confidence in what you're doing. And as you do that, take it piece by piece, you will get better at these. And the more and more you practice them, eventually you'll realize, hey, I am actually good at this. I can do word problems. And then you're going to be set, okay? Nothing can stop you once you get to that point where you quit saying I can't and you say I can and you really believe it. Okay? All right, so enough of my little pep talk. Thanks for putting up with me. The product of -9 and a number, which is then increased by the product of -11 and a number. So, deep breath. I noticed something right away, but I want to take that breath first, just to pause, calm me down, get myself focused. The product of -9 and a number, here's what I noticed right off the bat. There's a little comma. Remember, commas matter here. In this case, it's going to kind of let us pause and then do the next thing. So we've got a product happening first, and then it's increased by another product. Okay, so right at the first reading for me, first time of pulling things out, I've got a product that's increased by another product. So I'm just going to do a real basic translation here. It's a product plus another product. So it's my first product plus my second product. And product, of course, means I would expect to be multiplying two things together. Okay, and the adding part shouldn't throw me. Remember, we just identified, hey, we're adding positive and negative things together. Okay, so I'm going to expect that I've got maybe some positive and negative things coming out of the products here. So I'm going to be adding those two things together once I create those products. All right, so here we go. Product means to multiply. I've got that wonderful gift of the word of, which means I can look for an and that is what tells me the two things. I'm multiplying this and this together, the -9 and a number. We'll use x for our number, okay? So multiply -9 and a number, so that's my first product, is going to be -9 times a number. Okay, so there's my first product plus my second product. So there's my plus. I'll go ahead and keep using that same bluish color for the plus sign here. My second product is then increased by the product. So let's use purple this time. I'm going to be multiplying. And here's our beautiful gift of the word of and an and. It highlights exactly what you're going to be multiplying, the 11 and again the number. Now, I've had students in the past bring up a really great point. When this author writes problems like that and say multiply of 9 and a number, then increased by the product of -11 and a number, how are we to know that that's the exact same number? If I were to suggest anything as a revision for this book, I would say, a number, and then and that same number, okay? So for now, we're just going to go with it and not get too critical of, now, could they meet another number? Because we're doing like terms here, we'll go ahead and say this is that same number, okay? Technically, they probably should have been real specific and said that same number, but for now, we'll just go with that. We're multiplying negative 11 and a number, so negative 11 times x, or you can write that as negative 11x. Okay. Beauty of algebra, we don't even have to write the multiplication sign anymore. We're saving even more ink, paper, and time. That's a mathematics person's dream, right? They're living it right there. So then here's the first thing we've translated. Here's our translation. And the next thing we get to do now is simplify. And simplification for us right now is attempting to remove any parentheses, using distribution if we need to do that, and then combining like terms. There are no parentheses at this point, so we just looked if it's like terms, and it is. We've got an exactly matching variable, same exponent. We don't see it, so it's a 1 there. Exactly matching variable with the exactly matching exponent. We can combine these, and so we're trying to add negative 9 plus negative 11, and it's going to be that answer with an x attached to it. So we've got same signs, they're both negative, so we're going to add these two together. 9x plus 11x is going to give us 20x, and we're going to keep the sign of the bigger number. It doesn't really matter because they're both negative, but it helps us remember that rule when we have to add different signs. So it's always keep the bigger sign no matter what you're doing, same or different. So negative 20x. So there's our translated version, negative x plus negative 11x. Our simplification, negative 20x. You should see both answers in the back of the book. That way you get a chance to check how's your translation going, how's your simplifying going. Two skills that we're working on building. And again, that translation skills, these are beginning foundational translation skills in this first chapter. If you are feeling good and confident, then you're going to be able to face chapter 2 word problems head on and grow even more. If you're struggling with these beginning translations in chapter 1, please get help right away. I just can't emphasize it enough. You will thank yourself for it later, okay? Don't sit there and struggle alone. Let us give you some input, whether it's me or a tutoring center or some other outside resource that you have. Okay, you'll see both answers in the back of the book. Sorry, I have a terrible habit of getting an idea in the middle of writing what I was just saying, and I get a second idea and I start talking about it, and then I realize, oh, I didn't finish writing my first thought. So again, thanks for your patience. Okay, so you can see that we've got a word problem coming up next, an application exercise, and so we'll do that in the next and last video for 1.5. See you at the bottom of the page 3.